Well, we need to know a couple of things. Number one, we need to know how the world's premier law enforcement agency managed to lose 5 months worth of text. And what's also troubling is in the text we do have, they're discussing how to avoid text being captured and secured. So what's missing is important, but also what's there is important. It is manifest bias, not just against Trump, but against his kids, against his business interests. There's a text where they hope the Trump hotel fails. That is a level of bias that you rarely see and you never see from law enforcement officers. What's also troubling to me is this text that Johnny Ratcliffe found last night about this secret society. Now, I have no clue what that means because that was not the phraseology I used, but it's the day after the election. And it's the same two people that were discussing a little bit later in the text the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they could, quote, fix it and make it right.
What's out there? Good day. It's Tuesday, January 6, 2018. We're on LateNightInTheMidlands.com, LNMRadio.com, also radio apps, iTunes, and the Paranormal Radio, and also at WCET 101.7 FM, Columbia Talk. This is what's out there. Well, apparently the FISA memo has made its way around. We've had all weekend to pretty much stew in these FISA memo juices. And of course, mixed up in this weekend of good things going on, you have a Super Bowl game. Wonderful. Well, apparently, the people at this Super Bowl game had really stewed in their FISA juices so well, and they got basted before they went into the game. Fires, riots, flipping cars. They went so far as to eat horse fecal matter to celebrate a win. Is this why they don't win too often in Pittsburgh? Is this what people in Pittsburgh do when they win? Can you imagine what would happen if they lost? Oh my goodness, this is crazy. Of course, the football game, it got off to a good start. Nobody dropped on their knees, right? It's nobody's on their knees. Everything went great. That was a wonderful start. The problem is their viewership was at the lowest ever since 2010. The lowest in the past, 7 years? So that didn't help the advertisers any. And of course, the advertisers didn't do too well. And the halftime show, I guess, wasn't all that well either. See, I don't watch these ball games because I'm kind of like, give them cake and circuses, keep them entertained while they don't see what's going on around them. Okay, so this is one reason why I'm not into sports. I don't need to know the stats and all that stuff. When I was younger, I was into cars and I did a lot of work, and I figured the work that I put in, the time that I put into it, by the time I'm done, I actually have something I can enjoy to show for it. When you're done watching a ball game, what do you have? The stats? A little adrenaline? Are you happy? Did you make some money? Did you lose some? Did it not work out the way you wanted it to, or did it? And it's the same thing with doing things and, did the job turn out right? Yeah. Well, you know what? You learned something. Thing is, with a ball game, you have no control over that. With that little project you're doing, it's all you, okay? Not only that, but you're the only one participating in your little thing. So, hey, if you want to make a trophy for it, you can go ahead and do that. Whatever makes you feel good. It's whatever makes you feel good. And speaking about feeling good, and the Super Bowl game, and that had to make a lot of people feel good, with all that rioting and stuff. But it kind of makes you wonder, knowing that there's all these cameras around, news is everywhere, people have phones, this stuff isn't going to get out. People aren't going to be seen doing what they were doing. And do you stick your chest out and say, hey, I'm probably, one of the worst people on the face of God's creation, and this is what I do, and I'm proud of it. I mean, really? Where has the morality gone? Where has what was the song? Where's the Love? Is that what it was? All right. So, I don't know. I almost have faith in people, and I'm hoping they come around, because this has really got to stop. It really does. But anyway, I'm kind of ADD. You're going to find out here, because we're going to jump back to the FISA memo here. What happened with the FISA memo was only 4 pages. It didn't draw any conclusions. It just laid out the facts as they were laid out. And for some reason, everybody wants to, blow off the facts and say, well, this didn't tell us anything. There's nothing new in here. You're right. There is nothing new in there. It's everything we already knew. Absolutely right. But it did put it all into context, into 4 pages, so you could see where everything came from before they drew any conclusions. So the Democrats come out with a counter memo, okay, and they decide, hey, we're going to draw some conclusions in here. Not only that, but we're going to toss in a few insults, just to kind of, I don't know, make it sound interesting, But to give you an idea of kind of how this transpired, let me do a little audio clip here with Sean Hannity and Devin Nunes. Devin Nunes is the man who wrote the FISA memo, and of course he's pretty well hated in D.C. right about now, especially by the Democrats. But let me play this clip and kind of get an idea of what's going on here.
And again, I want to reiterate for our audience, it literally says Steele gathered his information from Russian government sources inside of Russia. Then it goes on to say, Mr. Steele, in litigation, it appears he either lied to the FBI or to the British courts, or the classified documents reviewed by the committee contain materially false statements. Then it says this. The timeline here is important about James Comey. It says, former FBI director, in June of 2017, James Comey publicly, before the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, he had said that he briefed President-elect Trump, this is at Trump Tower, and he told him and described the dossier as salacious and unverified. Now, that's long after Comey signed off on that information being used as a foundation to get the FISA warrant. So would he either handed to the court something he believed was unverified and salacious, or he gave it credibility when they got the initial FISA warrant? Which is it? Do you see a conflict there like I do?
Well, I think the conflict that you're describing, which no one on the left seems to care about, or the mainstream media, is that political dirt was used by the FBI, and they knew it was political dirt, to open a counterintelligence investigation into the other campaign. That's what people, I just can't believe that people on the other side are not furious about this. But look, I have faith in the American people. I think that a majority of Americans ultimately will make the determination that using political dirt by the FBI on the opposing campaign is a place that we won't go. And I'll tell you, I think that my colleagues here in the House, I mean, they're furious about this, as they should be.
So basically, this is kind of like, I don't know, let's say outgoing Bush era, right? And he wanted to see a Republican come in. So he tells the FBI, let's go dig up some dirt on Obama, all right? Let's go find some Russian collusion, and we'll put it out there so that we'll put him under investigation so he doesn't make it in this election. Okay, but the only difference is that if Bush had done that, he actually would have found Russian collusion with Obama, because actually back then that was going on. But anyway, it would be no different. Okay, and can you imagine how bad the screaming would have been? Oh, our first black president, you're framing him, this, that, and the other, right? I mean, come on, Obama was the shoo-in. He got the nomination. Remember? Everybody talks about this. Hillary lost her nomination, right? I'm sorry. Hillary got her nomination. It was taken. It was stolen from Bernie Sanders. Bernie signed off, gave everything, handed it all over to Hillary, okay? The candidates are mad. They're like, oh, whoa, we can't do this. I mean, we supported Bernie. You had a lot of Bernie supporters. These people did not like Hillary, okay? and they shoved Bernie out. Well, they didn't like that. They didn't like that at all. Well, since you shoved Bernie out, it's the same thing the Democrats did with Hillary and Obama, because Hillary was the shoe-in, but all her stuff was given to Obama. He had a right to be mad with Obama. As a matter of fact, there was a feud with the Clintons and Obama pretty much the whole time that Obama was in. And now, I guess they're all working together. I'm not sure how that happened, because Mr. Bill Clinton, Billy Bob, he wanted to head up the UN. He wanted to be king of the world, leader of the world, not just the U.S. And at one point, it was offered to Obama. So you can imagine how the Clintons felt when he, first of all, he stepped on Hillary and then was about to step on Bill. You can imagine how that went. The Clintons don't like that happening. And to be honest with you, I'm surprised that Mr. Obama is still alive, with defying the Clintons like that, because we know how big the Clinton body count is. That's, 50 some odd, up around 60 or 70s. It's getting up there. And there was another one not too long ago who was involved in the Haiti rescue mission, where he, trying to help children save body parts instead of amputating them. So, they found him dead. His daughter called, originally said it was an assault, 11-year-old daughter. And the FBI investigated and said it's a suicide. Seems as though the poor man stabbed himself in the chest. FBI kind of destroys their... Well, you know what? I think they've destroyed their own credibility here recently, because they're not doing too well, according to the FISA memos. And there's a second FISA memo coming out. And actually, there are 8 FISA memos in total. So this is just the beginning. Folks, fasten your seatbelts, because this is the tip of the iceberg. If you think information was brought out this time, there's more coming. Be ready. Be ready indeed. Now, it seems as though this Christopher Steele, who was doing the reporting to different news outlets, he was reporting to places like New York Times, Washington Post, Yahoo News. Remember, Yahoo News was the article where they got the article that was written up that actually was the second source for their ongoing warrant, okay, the wiretap, all right? That was supposed to be the second source, which came actually from the first source, so it was kind of circular. The New Yorker and CNN. So you've got New York Times, Washington Post, Yahoo News, the New Yorker, and CNN. Those 5 right there, you can pretty much bet are on the... I better be careful how I word this. They're on the Democrat side. How about that? Okay. And of course, we also know that Politico and Associated Press, they're also state. Okay. So anything that's run by the state or the government, PBS, okay, you might want to keep an eye, be discerning. If it's coming from someone, you know what I mean? Research everything. Make sure you get sources for everything you do. I mean, don't believe anything that's just handed to you. That's being gullible. And believe me, when you start looking through history and you see everything that's been handed to you, and you find out most of it in history has been lies, you really want to do your research and find out what is going on. What have I been lied to about, and why have I been lied to? And how deep does it go? You'll find that most everything goes through 3 pieces of legislation before you find all the pieces. You have to go several different places to find it, and in some cases it's 5, especially when you're talking about the Trading with the Enemy Act and Uniform Commercial Code. So there's a lot here, Goodness, I have to take a breather here for a minute to figure out where I am. The FISA memo, of course, we did the whole, yeah. I've got to jump here for a minute, because apparently Adam Schiff, his latest bizarre claim is the Russian ads promote Second Amendment so that we all kill each other. Okay? You know, the Second Amendment to the Constitution, it protects the right of the people to keep and bear arms. Yeah. Well, Duran's Alex Christoforo writes, according to California Congressman Adam Schiff, those pesky Russians are using bots to promote the Second Amendment with the ultimate goal of having Americans kill each other. Once again, another brilliant plan hatched by Putin. Good thing Schiff caught on to it. And now he can begin seizing American guns so as to thwart that Russian evil plan. Right? Well, on Thursday, Democrat Schiff spoke to a crowd at the University of Pennsylvania, where the TDS Russia hysteria virus infected Schiff, told the TDS is Trump derangement syndrome. Okay. Anyway, he told the crowd Russian ads promoted the Second Amendment during the 2016 election so we can kill each other. Here are the words. You had the content that was clearly anti-Hillary, and you had the content that was very pro-Trump. But even the bigger quantity of content that was being pushed through social media was just content designed to pit us against each other, Schiff said while speaking at the University of Pennsylvania. They also trumpeted the Second Amendment. Apparently, Russians are very big fans of our Second Amendment. They don't particularly want a Second Amendment of their own, but they're really glad we have one. The Russians would be thrilled if we were doing nothing but killing each other every day, and sadly we are. Well, you know what? We are, but it's not because of legal gun ownership. It's, well, anyway. Media hangs his head in shame as Mark Levin reveals second memo and what really happened with Russia. According to Levin, the second memo effectively proves that Hillary Clinton paid for a warrant to allow the FBI to spy on Trump. The new memo from Senator Grassley. Grassley's been pretty good. I like him. He's been on top of this. He shows a clear connection between Hillary and the Russian sources of the now debunked dossier. There was Russian interference, but this shows was to help Hillary, not Trump. For the past year, the mainstream media has been spreading lies about an alleged plot by Russia to interfere with the election to get Trump elected. But now the truth is starting to come out. Hillary Clinton colluded with the Russians, but it appears the FBI colluded with the Russians too. The senior level with the FBI tried to interfere with this election as well. Levin said the investigation into Russian collusion transitioned from a counterintelligence investigation to a criminal investigation when Comey, of all things, confesses to being a leaker. Why would the Russians want Donald Trump to be president when they can get everything they want from Hillary Clinton? I mean, they were going to get their uranium, right? 20% of our uranium. It was already in a deal. And, I mean, if Trump was going to cancel that, because doing that would be an act of treason and sedition, then why would they continue to do it? Anyway, apparently, Fox News has had enough of Shep Smith. He was speaking out against President Trump on multiple occasions and embarrassing the network publicly. Shep Smith has been given his walking papers. And according to a post in Twitter by We Are Conservatives, Fox News has finally had enough of their most controversial anchors. After speaking out against President Trump on multiple occasions and embarrassing the network publicly, Shep Smith has been given his walking papers. So, Rupert Murdoch, head honcho at Fox, told insiders that Shep was let go for his obvious disrespect for President Trump, his unscripted outbursts on live television, and allowing his personal life to interfere with his television persona. So, there you go. Shep Smith is now a has-been at Fox News. Pretty much the way you have it. Chaos at Newsweek. Employees at Newsweek have been told their editor-in-chief, Bob Rowe, and executive editor Ken Lee have been fired. Sources with knowledge of the situation told CNN. Aha. They told sources told CNN. Maybe. A reporter, Celeste Katz, who had written articles about financial issues at the magazine as well as an investigation by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office into its parent company, Newsweek Media Group, was also let go, the sources said. Staff in Newsweek New York offices were told to stop working and go home for the day on Monday afternoon. A source close to the newsroom told CNN Katz was seen cleaning out her desk. The news comes during turbulent time for the magazine. Just last week, the co-owner and chairman of Newsweek Media Group, Etienne Uzak, and his wife, Marion Kim, who acted as the company's finance director, both stepped down. Unreal. In a series of tweets, editor Fasih Ahmed cynically dismissed the importance of the recent attention paid to child sex abuse, saying it will always exist. But the statement that stirred up the most outrage was his comment that sometimes it leads to great art, something he later explained was sarcasm. Let me tell you something. If you're going to write stuff and tweet it, don't tweet pro-pedophile stuff, okay? Don't. This came from True Pundit, so wherever that came from, but you're talking True Pundit, Newsweek, sources told CNN. He said, she said, third hand, fourth hand. I'm not sure, but I guess we'll know more about that later. America's top 10 most drugged out states. Are you ready for this? We're a sad bunch. We're fat. We're not healthy. We're poor. We're in pain. Oh boy. Is that the pharmaceutical industry? Is that just the way we are, huh? The food, anything like that? Anyway, I got this from High Times. Over the last decade, 7 million people have lost their jobs and their homes. 24/7 Wall Street recently reminded us, but it's much more worse than that. With each layoff and foreclosure, the lives of countless more dependents are thrown into disorder and disarray. This mass evaporation of wealth means a vast lack of self-worth. Hard to compete in a consumerist society when you can no longer consume, right? One of this new emptiness sprang Donald Trump's belligerent brand of populism. Really? But before we turn to mean tweets and peppy memes, Americans turn to booze and pills to mask their physical and mental pain, or just a dopamine kick when nothing else was working. Use of mind-altering drugs hit a 10-year high in 2014. Almost 19% of Americans drink alcohol or use some kind of mood-altering substance every day, according to recent census statistics. But the places that exceed the national average all have something in common. They're poorer, they're fatter, and they're unhappier. With one exception, they're all places that support Donald Trump. Here are the 10 states with the highest rates of near-daily use of mood-altering drugs, as per 24/7 Wall Street. Make no mistake, these aren't party destinations. They're just bleak houses. Number 10 is Oklahoma, 21.8% near-daily drug use. Unbelievable. Fewer than 85% of the population's residents have health insurance. The lack of preventative care might explain why more than one-third of the state is suffering from obesity, and another 11.6% has diabetes. Number 9, Indiana, 21.9% near daily drug use. The average American has an eye-popping 12.7 prescription medications in his or her medicine cabinet. If you have fewer than 5, consider yourself lucky, and marvel at how many other people have 20 or more around the table at that statistic. Indiana residents have about the average, but about 23.4% smoke. Smoking means poor health, and poor health means popping pills. I don't agree with that, but they're entitled to their opinion. Number 8 is Ohio, 22% near daily drug use. The prescription pill epidemic has hit Ohio like a sledgehammer. More than 3,300 people died from overdoses here in 2015, one of the worst rates in the nation. And Ohioans are awash in prescriptions, almost 18 pill bottles per person. 18. Number 7 is Louisiana, 22.2% near daily use. hard to work on Gulf Coast. Exactly, right, since the rigs blew up and stuff. Louisiana has the third highest unemployment rate in the country, and is one of the lowest household income rates. 20% of the state's residents live in poverty, and the state also has the country's highest obesity rate. You can't blame it all on New Orleans. Number 6, South Carolina, 22.5%. People in South Carolina love their cigarettes and their food. Almost 23% smoke, and 31.7% are obese. Number 5, Alabama, with 23.1% near daily drug use. Alabama's economy dropped like a rock during the Great Recession, with the jobless rate increasing from 4% to 6%. And that accounts for it, I guess. Rhode Island at number 4 with 23.5% near daily drug use. The lone blue state on the list, Rhode Island, residents enjoy a relatively high income, but the jobless rate is 5.3%, higher than many red states on the list. Rhode Island residents may not turn to pills, but they like to drink and smoke weed, with 63% and 19% reporting regular alcohol and cannabis use, respectively. Number 3, Kentucky, with 24% near daily drug use. This is tobacco country, and Kentuckians like it. More than 36% of residents say they smoke cigarettes. With the entire state a smoking section, health outcomes are abysmal, and so Kentucky has an eye-popping average of 22 prescriptions per person. Number 2, Arkansas, 24.9% near daily drug use. Cancer, heart disease, obesity, Arkansas is just not a healthy place. The state has one of the highest premature mortality rates of anywhere in the country. And number 1, drum roll please. I don't have a drum roll. Look at this. Number 1 is West Virginia with 28.2% near daily drug use. West Virginia runs away with the top spot, and it's not entirely its own fault. Drug companies absolutely flooded the state with opiates, and with an unemployment rate of 6%, there was a ready market, out-of-work people, some of whom are out-of-work manual laborers. You may notice that all these states have something in common aside from poor health. Low income, high incidence of drug use. There are also places with just 3 exceptions where marijuana use is outlawed. Rhode Island, Ohio, Louisiana have limited medical marijuana programs. But other than that, they're all prohibition states. Alabama and Oklahoma are where 2 of the architects of Donald Trump's current tough on drugs policy originate. Correlation is not causation. And we're not saying legalizing would solve a health crisis overnight. But with more evidence that marijuana availability reduces reliance on prescription painkillers, and some of the biggest fans of strict drug laws hailing from that country's sickest states, we can't help but wonder. Exactly. What is there? What is there? Kind of makes you wonder. We are going to take a quick break here. This is right about the right time. You're listening to, what are you listening to? What's Out There? And this is What's Out There.
There are days that the red pill is bitter in my stomach, but I can't get it back out. I think because I have to. I speak because I have no choice. I walk through this dark age we're in with open eyes. Listen to Open Eyes on latenightinthemidlands.com. And together, maybe we won't stumble and fall.
The L&M Radio Network offers a chat room for you, the listener, to connect with others whom are interested in the topics and guests that the L&M Radio Network brings to you. During the live shows, the hosts will even visit the chat room and chat with you, the listener. Click on the big red Chat and Listen button at the top of the website and join us. No subscription is needed at either lnmradionetwork.com or latenightinthemidlands.com.
Why subscribe to Late Night in the Midlands, you ask? Well, I'll tell you why. Late Night in the Midlands covers everything, and through the thousands of expert guests who have joined Michael Vera on his show, come pieces of the big puzzle, which started many years ago. Michael and his guests reveal information dating back to the beginning of time. To this very moment, Michael Vera not only brings you the best guests with the best information, but Michael is not afraid to call out those who are less than honest. You see, in this day and age, we need a radio show we can count on and a radio host we can trust to expose the truth one show at a time. So become a late nighter and subscribe now. Talk radio like no other. Late Night in the Midlands, bringing the truth back to talk radio.
Do you need toner for your Epson, Hewlett-Packard, Canon, Brother, Apple, or Sharp printers? Look no further than Laser Technologies. In business for over 20 years, they offer the lowest prices on toner on the web. They can also repair your laser printers and toners fast and easy. Call their expert staff today at 561-792-9600 or email us at service@laser-technologies.com for all your toner needs. All toner is shipped nationwide. Why wait? Get the lowest prices on toner. Call or email us today.
It is gross distortion.
There is a better radio show, beyond that which is known to the people. It is a radio show more informative than others, and as timeless as infinity. It is the equilibrium between light and dark, between the sheeple and the paranormal, and it is heard at the base of man's ignorance and at the summit of his knowledge. This is the radio show of imagination, a show we call The Secret Teachings.
Music from bensound.com. Had to put that in there, let you know. bensound.com is where we get the music. And this is What's Out There. Thanks for listening. We are at lnmradionetwork.com, latenightinthemidlands.com, on iTunes and Paranormal Radio apps, and at WCET 101.7 FM, Columbia Talk. And here is more, just more, of what's out there. There was a judge kicked off the Flynn case. Let's see. Let me read the title here. Dick Morris. Judge kicked off Flynn case, issued the Pfizer warrant to spy on Carter Page. Let me see if I can make some sense of that. According to two sources familiar with the material that underlies the memo published by the House Intelligence Committee on Friday and printed in the blog Offended America, the judge, Randolph Contreras, who granted the warrant in the FISA court to wiretap Carter Page, was removed from presiding over the case of Mike Flynn, Trump's former national security advisor. While this is not uncommon for a judge to recuse himself from a case due to conflicts of some sort, It's very unusual for a judge to be recused from a case by his judicial supervisors. The wording of the district court's announcement that Contreras was recused suggests that it was not his decision to remove him from control of the Flynn case. Since the case against Mike Flynn may well rest in part on information gleaned from wiretaps authorized by FISA warrants, it's easy to understand why Contreras' superiors might have made the decision to take him off the case. But given how unusual it is for the judge to be removed from a case, rather than leave voluntarily, the public has a right to know why he was recused. The court did not offer a reason and just said he was randomly reassigned to other cases. That Contreras did not see the need to recuse himself is stunning. He would, as Flynn's judge, evaluate evidence he had authorized the FBI to collect when he approved the warrant. Clearly a conflict of interest. We deserve to know why he was removed from the Flynn case and why he did not feel it necessary to recuse himself. Special Prosecutor Bob Mueller has, in the meantime, moved to delay the Flynn sentencing, a development that may or may not be linked to Contreras' removal. Now, apparently, Flynn did not lie. They took him back in. They charged him with perjury, lying under oath. But apparently he did not lie, is what we're finding out. So things are going to, maybe that's why that judge changed around a little bit. Dreamers. Let's talk a little bit about dreamers. DACA dreamers who listened to Tuesday night to the State of the Union address were a little bit upset, disappointed. Now, I guess they didn't hear the man's speech or something, because here's one guy here. He says, "They've always painted us as criminals when we contribute so much," said Louis Tanaco. He's a 35-year-old DACA recipient from Mexico who owns an auto mechanic shop. "We're all here. We're educated. We come from families with moral characters. So we're not asking for much," said Pedro Aguilar, a 28-year-old DACA recipient from Mexico who works as a site planner. "I think by demonizing us, he really does a disservice to America. We're here to improve the lives of everyone." And, you know, those two examples right there are two perfect examples of two people who didn't listen to what Trump said. If you have something to contribute to the country, you are more than welcome to stay. You're more than welcome to become citizens, okay? And I think what upset them was when probably the only thing they heard was, Americans are dreamers too. They, you know, and they don't like that. What's the matter? Americans can't dream? Is there something special about Americans where we don't dream? Is that what it is? I mean, everybody, if they talk about people coming here, they're, oh, we want to go to America, we want to go to America. And then, like from the Middle East, they come over here and they find out they're not getting their dividend checks from the resources. And they say, well, what do you mean we're not getting our dividend checks? This isn't right. We're supposed to be moving to America. Don't we get our checks from the resources? That's the way they do it in the Middle East. No. We don't do things that way in America. See, in America, we crack a whip on you. You have to work, and then you have to pay. And the reason why you have to work is because you have to pay. And you're always going to have to pay for something. A man says, oh, I just paid the taxes on my car. Wonderful. Great. He says, I'm all done. He gets the bill in next year. Hey, how come I have to pay taxes again? You have to pay those every year. What? Oh, yeah. You have to pay those taxes every year. That's not just once. It doesn't happen that way over there. It doesn't happen that way at all. And we don't see that. Most people over here, they don't know what's going on. They don't know what's going on at all. Crazy. Unbelievable. Anyway, South Carolina governor candidate says civil war was feds telling us how to live. A Republican running for a South Carolina governor has been accused of sympathizing with the Confederacy because of comments she made about her ancestors going to a college crowd. About her ancestors to a college crowd, yeah. Try to figure me out. Democrats on Friday took Catherine Templeton to task for telling a crowd at Bob Jones University that her relatives fought on behalf of the Confederacy, not to protect slavery, but because the federal government was trying to tell us how to live. Finally, someone's going to tell some true history. I like it. We didn't need them to tell us how to live way back then, and we don't need them to tell us how to live today, Templeton told a crowd of mostly students. On Friday, Democrats, including former state party chairman Jamie Harrison, criticized Templeton, accusing her of romanticizing the Civil War. Bakari Sellers, a former Democratic state representative and nominee for lieutenant governor, asked his Twitter followers, "How should we start Black History Month? Let's go to Bob Jones and tout the Confederacy." Leon Stavrinkas, a Democrat state representative, tweeted that Templeton has said some terrible things already this campaign, but to say the federal intervention to end slavery, segregation, and government-sanctioned discrimination was wrong is utterly despicable. That's not what she said. That's the way he interpreted it, but that's not what she said. Anyway, Templeton caught flack last year during a Pickens County GOP meeting when she said she supported state lawmakers' efforts to remove the Confederate battle flag from the State House grounds after a deadly shooting by a man who embraced the flag, but was still proud of the state's Confederate history. I think that what we did was we reacted. I think that's what happens in government a lot, Templeton told the audience. I'm proud to be from South Carolina. I'm proud to be of the Confederacy, but I'm not going to second guess what people in the State House did when I wasn't there. On Friday night, Templeton, a labor lawyer who served as South Carolina's former labor and public health chief, refused to apologize for her family's past, telling the Associated Press on Friday night that any efforts to portray her as a slavery sympathizer are disingenuous, dishonest, and disgusting. The past cannot be changed, but we can learn from it, Templeton told AP. In speaking to students, I simply acknowledged my family's story, warts and all. Templeton is challenging Governor Henry McMaster for the GOP nomination. Lieutenant Governor Kevin Bryant and former Lieutenant Governor Yancey McGill are also competing in the June 12th primary election. So, let me tell you, when you start talking truth, you start getting hated. It's crazy. Something else that's out here. AccuWeather. The National Weather Service in Gray, Maine, said some Mainers received a false tsunami warning alert Tuesday morning. This morning, meteorologist Hendrikus Lolofs with the National Weather Service said there was a glitch Tuesday during a routine test. That meant some people received what looked like an actual warning on their phones. He said the National Weather Service is trying to sort what happened. In a tweet, they say, "We've seen reports that some people have received an erroneous tsunami alert. There is no tsunami threat to Maine." Officials said it appeared to be an issue with the popular AccuWeather app. So, it's hard to say, but AccuWeather, saying the National Weather Service, says the message is for test purposes only. This is a test to determine transmission times involved in the dissemination of tsunami information. And right here, NWS New York, a tweet says there is no tsunami warning. A tsunami test was conducted earlier this morning that did have test in the message. We are currently trying to find out how a message went out as a warning. We will update you when we find out more. So, there's been a lot of false alarms lately, but then again, it wasn't a false alarm that happened over in Hawaii. They actually intercepted that one, didn't they? More news here. It's Freeport. Freeport, Maine LL Bean, Maine's fifth largest employer, has started an employee buyout plan and other belt-tightening measures after a couple of years of flat sales. The measures announced last Friday started January 1st with the airing of reducing its workforce by 500 full-time people, or 10% of its 5,000 employees. Of LL Bean's total employees, 4,000 are in Maine, working in manufacturing, call centers, and administrative offices. The program is open through the end of February this year to any eligible employee for a voluntary buyout, she said. That means 900 full-time workers who have been at the company at least 15 years and are 55 years or older have the option to take the buyout. She expects 500 to do so. She would not comment on how many people have taken the deal so far, nor how many the company expects will do so. The company has not announced any layoffs, she said. Employees who take the buyout will get a stipend for medical premiums and some pension benefits. At the same time, the company stopped contributing to its pension plan. That follows a national trend of companies getting rid of its pension plans and offering other benefits, according to the Associated Press. LL Bean is boosting company contributions to 401k plans from 4% to as much as 8% of annual income, allowing more flex time and leave for parental or elder care. And that's what's going on with LL Bean. If you know anything about LL Bean, they are a large supplier of sporting goods. They have their own brands of jackets and boots and shoes and clothing and stuff like that, clothing and accessories. They are quite the outlet. The stock market crash, I want to touch on this kind of real quick. 1,175 points in one day. The mainstream media seems so surprised that the stock market is crashing. But the truth is, it isn't a surprise at all. In fact, the crash is way, way overdue. If the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell another 10,000 points, stock prices would still be overvalued. I've been warning and warning and warning that this could happen because stock valuations always return to their long-term averages eventually. On Monday, the Dow Jones was a staggering 1,175 points down, which was the largest single-day decline that we have ever seen by a very wide margin. In fact, it shattered the old record by nearly 400 points. Nearly after 3 p.m., all hell broke loose on Wall Street. The Dow dropped more than 800 points in just 10 minutes. At one point on Monday, the Dow was down nearly 1,600 points, but a brief rally cut those losses roughly in half. However, the rally didn't last long and stock prices collapsed hard as the market closed. At this moment, the Dow is already down more than 2,200 points from the peak of the market. From the peak, okay, and we're not too far from officially entering correction territory. Once stocks start falling, it can trigger a massive rush for the exits, and that's what happened on Monday. In particular, investors started to panic once the Dow broke through the 50-day moving average. Other ways of selling triggered once the 25,000 and 24,000 barriers on the Dow were breached. In order to protect against losing too much money, many investors have stopped losses set at psychologically important levels. So, big loss, total of 2,200 points. I don't know if it's going to come back up today or not, but we'll see. The Madeleine McCann case. The detective in the Madeleine McCann case has been found dead. A private detective hired by Kate and Jerry McCann to find their missing daughter, Madeleine, has died after apparently falling over at a mansion. Police say they're treating the death of the 56-year-old Kevin Halligan as unexplained. Dublin-born Mr. Halligan unsuccessfully worked on the case for about 6 months in 2008, but fell out with the couple because he delivered so little. It is estimated his fees swindled the Madeleine Fund out of £300,000, a source said. I believe the police were looking into the possibility he fell over and cut his head badly. He was known to be a heavy drinker. The scene where he was found was said to be heavily bloodstained. Mr. Halligan was found last Monday at the Surrey home of his girlfriend. A police spokesman said, "We're called to an address in Guildford on Monday after a report of a man in his 50s having been taken unwell who subsequently died. So I guess there was something shady going on with that guy. The death is being treated as unexplained, and a file will be passed over to the coroner. Former colleague, defense consultant Tim Craig Harvey, wrote online, "The lies and alcohol finally caught up with him." While desperate for a breakthrough in the hunt for their daughter, Doctors Kate and Jerry of Rothley, Lancashire, hired Halligan, agreeing a £500,000 fee with Oakley International. His boast of employing former CIA and FBI detectives encouraged the couple to believe he could finally get some strong leads. However, within a few months of hiring him, the couple began having serious doubts about his claims. So, there you go. I guess you defraud people out of a few £100,000, you don't deliver, and, well, I guess karma has a way of coming around, huh? Harley Davidson. Amid slumping sales, Harley Davidson will attempt to attract younger riders by offering its first production electric motorcycle. The new bike, which is yet to be named, is expected to be available within 18 months. The Milwaukee motorcycle maker first dipped its toes in the EV world by touring the country a few years back with a concept electric motorcycle, the Live Wire, for riders and members of the media to take on test rides. And I guess now they seem to be ready to go all in on the EV. Harley Davidson will continue to hang their hat on the soft-tail and touring motorcycle that its aging customers adore, but the company's foray into electric bikes is aimed squarely at a younger crowd and values Teslas over hot rods. So, I don't agree with that. I think they're finding that the Teslas and electric cars are in many cases outperforming a lot of the gas cars. So, I don't agree with their reasoning. But anyway, they say performance should not be an issue, and I disagree. It could turn up at 100 miles an hour and do 0 to 60 in less than 4 seconds. Big deal. The prototype's main drawback was a limited range of roughly 55 miles. However, battery motor technology have improved dramatically since the Live Wire was introduced, and with other electric motorcycles topping 200 miles in range, Harley's new bike should be able to carry you a good bit farther than the Live Wire. So they've got 4 models out, I believe, that they're going to make, and they're all basically, they look like off-road bikes for the most part. But hey, that's what's up with Harley. And if you really like going to McDonald's, you ready for this? McDonald's fries chemical may cure baldness. That doesn't mean you eat it, okay? Obviously, as you can tell, like people who go to McDonald's start growing their hair back. But this simple method has regrown hair on mice, and preliminary tests have indicated it's likely to be successful on humans. Japanese scientists have discovered a cure for baldness, and it lies within a chemical used to make McDonald's fries. A stem cell research team from Yokohama National University have used a simple method to regrow hair on mice called dimethyl polysiloxane. Say that 3 times fast. Dimethyl polysiloxane. The silicone added to McDonald's fries to stop cooking oil from frothing. Preliminary tests have indicated the groundbreaking method is likely to be just as successful when transferred to human skin cells. So go bathe in a bunch of French fries and, I don't know, maybe you'll get some hair back, or rub it on your head, or where do you need hair? I don't know. According to a study released in the Biomaterials Journal last Thursday, the breakthrough came after the scientists successfully mass-produced hair follicle germs, or HFG, which were created for the first time ever in this way. HFGs are the cells that drive follicle development and are known as the holy grail of hair loss research. The scientists credited the use of dimethyl polysiloxane as the key to the advancement. The key for the mass production of HFGs was a choice of substrate materials for the culture vessel. Professor Junko Fukuda. Forget it, man. You know, they start talking crap like this. Anyway, These short hair follicle germs, or HFGs, were shown to be capable of effective hair follicle and shaft generation upon injection into the backs of nude mice. Within days, Fukuda and his colleagues reported black hairs on the ears of the mouse where the chip was transplanted. Unreal. In 2016, U.S. hair loss treatment manufacturing industry was worth $6 billion. This included companies that produce restorative hair equipment, such as grafts for hair restoration, as well as oral and topical treatments. McDonald's didn't respond to Newsweek about this, but and this is a Newsweek publication. But hey, that's the way it goes, right? Tesla will sell its Powerwall and solar roof in Home Depot. This is from Extreme Tech. Tesla might not be able to sell its electric cars nationwide because of various state laws, but it's about to bring its battery and solar products to more than 800 retail locations. The company founded by Elon Musk is partnering with Home Depot to sell its Powerwall and solar roof products directly to consumers. Tesla will even have its own employees on hand at Home Depot locations to tout the benefits of the tech. The Tesla presence in Home Depot, the largest home improvement retailer in the U.S., will start with the company's Powerwall product. It's basically a giant battery that mounts to the wall to serve as backup source power. When paired with a solar power solution, it can make a house independent of the power grid. Some Home Depot locations will have large 7 by 12 foot signs advertising the Powerwall. Many locations will also have demo units installed to show consumers how the devices work. Tesla claims the Powerwall is able to detect outages in a split second and switch on to ensure there's no interruption in power. Being featured in Home Depot will certainly get the Powerwall more exposure, but it's not exactly an impulse purchase you'll make when you stop by to get a new doorbell or some lumber. A single Powerwall starts at $5,500 plus the cost of supporting hardware for several hundred more. No, not really, but they have a capacity of 13.5 kilowatt and a maximum power output of 5 kilowatt. A single Powerwall can keep a small house running for 7 days with a solar power system, but adding an EV charger or a central AC unit means you'll get less time or need more Powerwalls. Now, of course, you're not going to be able to walk right in and buy one. Okay, you won't be able to walk out of Home Depot with a Powerwall in your cart. The mini Tesla stores in Home Depot will basically serve as a way to schedule the service, which includes an inspection to ensure your house is suitable for the Powerwall and or solar roof installation. So the price of the roofing is expected to look like a regular roof rather than the glossy panels that we've seen in the past, and should cost right about the same as high-end normal roof. So, and that's pretty good for today's tech. That's exactly what you're looking for. Homeland Security employees. This comes from Zero Hedge. Department of Homeland Security employee leaves Super Bowl anti-terror documents on commercial flight. In an embarrassing security lapse that could damage the public's faith in the Department of Homeland Security early into the tenure of Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen, a top scientist at the Department of Homeland Security, accidentally left a folder containing a critique of Minneapolis' response to a simulated anthrax attack at the Super Bowl 52, offering a rare glimpse at how America's top national security officials safeguard large public events from terror attacks. So this is obviously classified information, very top secret and all that good stuff. Anyway, that, people, that is what's out there.
To lose 5 months worth of text. And what's also troubling is in the text we do have, they're discussing how to avoid text being captured and secured. So what's missing is important, but also what's there is important. It is manifest bias, not just against Trump, but against his kids, against his business interests. There's a text where they hope the Trump hotel fails. That is a level of bias that you rarely see and you never see from law enforcement officers. What's also troubling to me is this text that Johnny Ratcliffe found last night about this secret society. Now, I have no clue what that means because that was not the phraseology I used, but it's the day after the election. And it's the same two people that we're discussing a little bit later in the text, the damage they had done with the Clinton investigation and how they could, quote, fix it and make it right.
What's out there?